Well, howdy folks, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm gonna address a question I get from time to time in the comments. You know, I've done a fair amount of pedal related videos over the years. I've actually got a playlist and I'll link that in the description if you wanna check all those out. But I always get in some of those pedal reviews and stuff, I'll get common questions, or kind of three common questions that come up. People ask, how do I hook this thing up? You know, this is my first pedal. What do I do to hook this thing up to use it? Next question is people are like, how do I power this? And what if I've got more than one? Can I power it with a single battery or whatnot? And then the next one is people are like, okay, I've got 3 or 4 pedals now. What order do I put them in? So just kind of some beginning pedal stuff here. And granted, there's been a fair amount of discussion about this, but I'm gonna kind of address it here because I've had a fair amount of comments on it. So answering your questions, let's get into it. So first, I got a pedal and how do I hook it up? That's a common question that I get. So I've got several pedals back here. I'm gonna grab one here, and this is the Quaverado pedal, and I'm gonna scoot up close here so you can kind of see the logos here. But on every pedal, there should be something that's labeled in and out. And you can see these are the 1/4 inch jacks, so we've got our in and our out on this one. I'm gonna grab another pedal here. This one here. This is a Sonic Cake. And you can see here, instead of labeling them in or out, they have these arrows. So one arrow points into the pedal, this one arrow points out of the pedal, so that's your input and that's your output. Sometimes they're kind of labeled in that way. Here's a stereo pedal, so you can see this has a lot of jacks on it. Now what you can see, again, if you get up close here, you can see it has a left and a right, and it tells you that if it's mono, you just use this one, and same thing on the output side. So you just kind of have to look at how they're labeled, but basically if you're using this on a mono signal, you would plug in input, output. If you're using it on a stereo signal, both in, both out, and then the other jack is for an expression pedal, or actually a controller pedal. And we'll have I've got a couple of just plain old 1/4 inch instrument cables here. So this is the out jack on this side. So I'm gonna plug a 1/4 inch cable in there, and then right over here, I've got a little portable amp. Now, if you're using a big amp, the process is still the same. You just go into the input of the amp. So, output of your pedal goes into the input of the amp, just like that. And I'm gonna set this down. Then we grab our other cable, which I put that one right here, and that goes into the input, and the other end of that goes into your guitar. So I've got a guitar back here. I'm just gonna plug it in for the sake of illustration. Bam. So guitar to the input, output, to your amp. Then the next question I get, okay, I got another pedal, what do I do? Well, there's a number of these little things out on the market here, little pedal interconnect cables that typically have a right angle connector, and they're typically pretty short. Some of them might be, you know, only a few inches long. This one's about 1 foot, but they're typically fairly short. So what you do is you get yourself some of these, and let's go back to here, unplug this, and we will plug this cable in to the output. Then this other end goes into your next pedal, so the input of the Sonic Cake here, and then the output from your Sonic Cake, or whatever your second pedal is, goes over to the amp once again. So we go from our guitar here to our Quaverado, the interconnect pedal to our Sonic Cake, and then over to our amp. So now both of these pedals would be able to work, provided we have them powered, of course. And that brings me to the next question that I always get. And so the next question I usually get is, how do I power this thing? Well, some pedals support an internal battery, like this one, usually the larger pedals. If I take these screws out of the back, there's an internal 9-volt hookup where I can put a battery inside the pedal. Some of the smaller pedals like this don't support that at all. Instead, they have this little jack for a power input. So what do I do? Well, the majority of pedals on the market use a standard that we call the Boss style power supply, or the tip negative 9-volt power supply. It's the most common thing that you'll see out there. And there are a number of adapters like this on the market where they'll have a plug on one end, and on the other end you'll get something that looks like this that goes into your pedal. So that just plugs right into this jack on your pedal, and then you plug it into the wall like any other electronic. Also, you may see some of these out there, which this is just a little dongle that allows you to connect a 9-volt battery to something that doesn't support its own internal 9-volt battery. And I just plug that into the top, and now if I click this, you see the light come on and off because that pedal is now being powered by this. So those are a couple of ways that you can power your pedal. I want to get one other important thing that comes up from time to time here. So look at this. I plug it into this pedal, right? Bam. Oh, no light came on. It must be broke. What's going on? Well, some pedals have a lockout that requires them to have a cable in the input jack before it will engage the battery. And the reason they do that is so it doesn't drain your battery if you unplug it, okay? So let me show you what I mean. As soon as I plug that cable in, you can see that light came on and also the green flashing light down here indicating the rate. And so now this pedal is active. As soon as I unplug the input, bam, it goes off. So your pedal's not broken. Sometimes it just needs a cable in the input before the power will come on, even when the power is connected. And then the next thing people ask, well, I've got 7 pedals I need to power. Do I have to have 7 batteries or 7 different plugs to plug in? Oh my gosh, I gotta plug, I need 7 outlets on the wall. No. So they do make a series of pedal power supplies. So like this is my base pedal board. And if you flip it over on the back, I have mounted a Gator pedal power supply. And so it's got several different little cables here that actually go up and plug into each of the pedals here. So like, here's one right here. You see them going across. Oh, that's coming off the board. Anyway, so you can use a power supply like that to power multiple pedals, and then it only takes up 1 outlet on the wall. And there are a number of those different pedal power supplies out there. If you do a search for pedal power supply, you're gonna find lots of them, but that's one way to do it. Now the next question that comes up, I've got 3, 4, 5 pedals, whatever. Does the order matter? And yes, it does. Is there a correct or incorrect order? Not really. So people are very passionate about this topic. It's not what I want to go into here, but there is a website called Guitar Lobby, and they have a really great article, which I will link in the description, where they talk about the kind of standard orders that your pedals should go in. But the general way that they recommend, and this is what's closest to what I use, is to start with your guitar, go to your tuner, your compressor, your wah, your overdrive, phaser, chorus, volume, delay, reverb, and then to your amp. Now I want to hang out on volume for just a second, because a lot of people, when they talk about volume, they think of a volume pedal that looks similar to a wah pedal where you use your foot to control the volume of the guitar. That is one sort of volume effect, but there's also things like tremolo pedals and fade pedals and things like that that control the volume with more of a modulation or something like that. So those would still fall into that category of volume pedals. And so now we're gonna take a trip over to my guitar pedal board, which is on the floor over here, and I'm gonna show you the way that I hook up my pedal board personally. Again, not saying this is the only order or that this is the best way to do it. This is the way that I do it. Okay, I'm gonna just hand hold this portion of the video, so I'm gonna apologize in advance if any of this is shaky. But to start us off here, this is our cable coming from the guitar right here. And you can see the first thing it goes into is the Vox wah pedal. Now, that is different than the suggestion made by Guitar Lobby. Guitar Lobby said to go to your tuner first. And I did actually have it hooked up that way at one point. I changed it not because of a sound or anything. I just found it more convenient to have the wah all the way to the right. That's a personal preference thing, but that's how I did it. So you can see that's my first thing in the chain. Now coming off of that, you can see this little cable here, and this goes into the tuner. So here is the Korg tuner pedal. And then you can see the output from the tuner pedal goes over here to my DS1 distortion. This is actually a Keeley modded DS1. And then you can see there's a little tiny cable here in the middle that goes over to my overdrive. Now, some people do recommend that you put the overdrive before the distortion. If you're using them one at a time, it shouldn't matter. When I use them both together, I tried it both ways and I liked it better with the distortion before the overdrive, so that is how I put it. From there, we come over with another little short cable here and we go to this pedal. This is an octave up pedal. This is from Chicago Stompworks, I think they're called. It's a custom effect pedal company, but basically you see there's not a lot here. You click it on or off, there's no controls or anything. Whereas these, you see you've got various different controls to turn on and off. Okay, so after the octave up pedal, you can see there's this kind of weird looking pedal here and it goes underneath and then it comes up to the top level here. We go to the MXR Phase 90, a phaser pedal. From there, we come over right up to the top here and we come over into our Electro-Harmonic small clone. From there, we go over into the E-Lady, which is a flanger pedal. Then to the Modtone Harmonic Tremor, which is a tremolo or tremolo pedal. And then from there, you can see this one goes down and it comes over here to the dissolver. So full volume, as I press it, it dissolves your volume. It's great for fade outs, okay? But it is a volume pedal of sorts. So both the tremolo pedal here and the dissolver pedal are both volume pedals. So I put them here in the chain. And then after that, you see this little cable that goes up here to the MD3, which is a delay pedal. And then you can see the output from the MB3 goes over here into my Box-a-Verb, which of course is a reverb pedal. And then the amp. So the overall for this pedal board is it comes from the guitar, it goes to the wah, then to the tuner, then to the distortion, then to the overdrive, then to the octave shift, and then to the phaser, to the chorus, to the flanger, to the tremolo, to the dissolver, to the delay, and out to the reverb, and eventually to the amp. So that is the order that I use on my personal effect pedal board. And that's kind of the default order that a lot of people say you should do it in. But again, it's really a taste thing. So if you like putting your tuner at the end of the chain, or your distortion at the end of your chain, or your delay at the beginning of the chain, or whatever, do it. If it works for you, then do it. So you can try different orders, see what works for you. But in general, that's usually the way that most people kind of run their pedals. And there's various reasons for that. But again, deep rabbit hole, I don't want to go into all of that here. This is just meant to get you started. Again, check out the article that I've linked in the description to read more about that. And while you're at it, if you like what I do on this channel, I'd really appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button below. If you like this video, just go ahead and give it a thumbs up for me. I'll see you guys soon.